Home invasions, robberies, gun violations, all crimes committed by local teenagers.
Hard to believe. Tonight, we continue our commitment to stories of juvenile crime. It's part of our ongoing community-driven series. News 3's John Trainer is in studio with this edition of Lost Vegas.
Well, if you want to understand how the justice system handles kids, you have to sit in court. That's exactly what we did. A note here, faces and names of the juveniles have been hidden.
Dear Judge Voy, I've been locked up a total of 10 months with placements and in detention. It's been a total of 10 months. And I'll never be able to get that time back. And I know you're sitting up there looking at all my charges and my history up until now. And honestly, I'm not proud of it, but that's who I was before. And that part of me died when I decided to turn myself in a month ago.
In Judge William Voy's courtroom, the difference between adult prison and a stay in a juvenile facility is decided.
You're getting a hell of a break here. You understand that, right?
Yes.
I mean, an amazing break.
This is a day in his court. Judge Voy decides certification cases, the kids the state wants to send to the adult system. The cases are complicated. The kids have broken families, trouble at home. Many have mental health issues. Their crimes are often violent, increasingly so.
I was walking to the Heights, and then, it's a little corner, and when I went to the corner, he was right there robbing somebody.
About 2 years ago, I saw a dramatic increase in the number of kids committing more violent crimes. The thought was, it's going to spike and go back down again, and it hasn't.
At this point, we'd like to give you statistics to back that up. The state says they filed 168 cases in 2016, 199 last year. But we're told those are just estimates. There's no system in place to actually keep track of that. And in court, it's black and white. There's nuance here, and we saw that firsthand.
And so the circumstances involving his current offense are surround more of a lack of maturity and stupidity.
This is the story of a teenager. He's been in this courtroom before. Already spent time at a juvenile detention camp for a home invasion with a handgun. Today, he's back. The state wants to send him to prison for, well, we'll let his attorney explain.
He ran across some friends who were shooting cans and decided to join in shooting cans with a firearm. Which, we can't make an excuse for that. He should know better than that. I would submit to the court, recommitment is not the best use of our resources for this young man.
The offense that got him sent up there was carrying a concealed semi-automatic weapon. Coming this close to go to the adult system before with a weapons charge, and if you saw that gun, you should have ran.
This is what's at stake here. A 17-year-old kid with a history, including home invasion, was doing well on parole, back on track, until he shot cans with his buddies. What would you do?
Can't lose sight of what we're dealing with here. We're still dealing with 17.
In the end, that teen got community service, 300 hours, and supervision. He'll work with a mentor. Negotiations for a kid's future. But in it, Judge Voy sees a problem. Dozens of cases a year, and only two options for the judge: an adult prison with a lengthy stay or a 6-month sentence at a juvenile facility.
And having to make that decision on a weekly basis when I've got a horrendous crime, but I have a kid that's 15 years old, and knowing what the likelihood of this kid coming out, the adult system is going to be, what that kid's going to look like then. So it's a tough call.
One case down, 14 to go, and that's just one day in Judge Voy's court. What's really amazing is watching the negotiations between the state and the attorneys. It's changed a lot over the past 5 years. That's something we're going to talk about a little later in the series as well.
What really gets me is that they're kids. Yeah. 10 years ago, they were in kindergarten, some of them. What happens to the kids who don't go to prison?
We got to remember, 10 years ago they were in kindergarten. 10 years from now, they'll probably be out in the street and they're under 30 years old. We'll talk about what happens when they don't go to prison. On Monday, we'll meet a guy who's trying to change it himself.
All right, John, thank you. And we know that a lot of you have had some kind of involvement, either through friends or family, in the juvenile court system. And we're asking for your help. If you have an angle you want to see us tackle, email us. The address, vegaslost@sbgtv.com. You can also talk with us on social media. Just add the hashtag VegasLost. John will be live on Facebook after this to talk about what he's discovered.